Well, what is the law here in Virginia for raw milk? Can you buy no problem?
Cow share.
Cow share, okay. But then you're okay for the most part? Have there been lawsuits here from the local authorities, or haven't heard of any? I'm sure Kimberly must know.
They did arrest the Amish farmer last summer, but that was from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he brought it from
Pennsylvania, right?
It came here though.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I've been shocked by it. We're the dairy state, right, in Wisconsin. I've been shocked, and I really haven't been paying that much attention to it. I'm just kind of like the husband, and I go to work, and you know, my wife does. She's a naturopathic kind of a freak. She started a naturopathic healthcare center in Madison, so she's really into this. She has been for years, largely because of her own health issues. But about 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, we joined this Vernon Hershberger is the Amish. He's not Amish anymore, he was at the time. So we joined Vernon's farm to a friend that we had met. Their child, their son, their oldest son, had serious health issues. I forget the element we were trying to talk before, but it's just a label that you give the kids, right? Because they can't do exactly what the teachers tell them to do, because they can't sit still after their Coca-Cola and their pizza lunch, right? So
ADHD or one
yeah. So these parents actually had Jack, the son, take the milk to school, and it was in his locker. And when Jack had health issues, he would go out into his locker, have the milk, come back in, and everything would be fine. So that's as great as it was for them. So we thought, hey, yeah, let's try this stuff. Nancy's always into new health things. So that was 8 years ago. We've been buying it for 8 years. So we have moms group that there's probably 10 of them that drive out once a week. It's an hour and a half outside of Madison. Drive out to Vernon's farm. We've been out there a bunch. We bought a piece of the cow. And so the years go by, and I thought everything was okay. And then Nancy's been telling me there's been issues in Wisconsin with the DATCAP, the Department of Trade and Agriculture and Consumer Protection, like all these things, like lots of stuff for one big government entity to be handling, one of which is milk and raw milk. So we had an issue, and then my wife told me there was going to be a presentation by a guy named Sheriff Mack, Richard Mack. Is anyone familiar with Richard Mack by chance? So Richard Mack flew up from Texas to support Vernon and another small farmer in Wisconsin named Max Kane. And Sheriff Mack was he was a former sheriff many years prior, and he was a sheriff when the Brady bill first came out, if you remember that, the gun control bill. Well, he was in law enforcement and was actually oppressive on law enforcement. So he actually got together with a couple of other sheriffs, and they sued the federal government for the most oppressive parts of the Brady bill, and they won. So Sheriff Mack has sued the federal government, and he's won. So he carries around pamphlets with his the Supreme Court decision, and one of the justices, I forget which one at the time, this would have been 1990, I don't know, mid-90s, he actually said, but the Constitution is designed to protect us from our own best intentions. Meaning talking to the government, saying that as well as we think we're doing for people, the Constitution is there to say, sorry, you can't. No matter how good you think you're doing, it's designed to protect us from your good. So he flew up, and my wife yanked me out of my office. I didn't want to go. Emerson was at school. This is my son, Emerson. He's in 10th grade at a military academy in Wisconsin. So he's away during most weeks. So we have two adopted girls. They're 14 and 15. They were home, and my wife got them after school, yanked me by the ear out of my office, and said, come on, we're going to see Vernon and Sheriff Mack. So we met in Logansville, Wisconsin, out in the middle of nowhere. It was an hour and a half outside of town, and I was on my phone, was trying to work, and out of the office at 3:30, and so we get to Logansville. It's in the municipal garage. Oil on the floor, chains from the winter hanging on the wall, tables lined up with a little bit of something lined over it, and all of the Amish had cooked it was meatloaf. I'm not a big meatloaf fan. This stuff was awesome. It was like real food. And they cooked all the food, and we went in, and then Sheriff Mack spoke. And it was stunning. He's actually not running for Congress, I think, in the 22nd District down in Texas. So it's all about individual liberties and individual. So here's Sheriff Mack, who had flown up prior to meet with Vernon and Max. They went to the Wisconsin State Capitol in Madison, and they all drank raw milk on the steps of the Capitol. And they have all the pictures and stuff. So that's how I first, when Sheriff Mack talked about it, and Vernon was there, and Vernon has a criminal charge against him from my Department of Justice in Wisconsin. A criminal charge for selling milk. Yes, jail time. Jail time. A criminal charge. I didn't know it was criminal. I mean, I heard there was a lawsuit going on, so when I went out there and I met Richard Mack, and I met Vernon, and I said to Vernon that night, I'm like, you know what, I apologize. I didn't know it was this bad, but it's bad. I mean, the guy was going to court again the following week. The last time he went to court, he didn't think he was going home. He thought he was going to get thrown in jail. He's Amish. He's not Amish anymore. He left the Amish church about 4 years ago. But he, because of his principles, will not hire an attorney. He's going unrepresented up against the Department of Justice. So I had him to my house. I mean, I'm in the investment business, so I know enough attorneys that, you know, there are certain things you need attorneys for, as much as I don't like to hire attorneys. Probably. I'm sorry. 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 But so we tried to get Vernon to hire an attorney. A few years ago, I became a Mason, a Freemason. I had Vernon down to my Masonic Lodge to speak to all of us in downtown Madison. I thought that would be helpful. So he brought Max Kane down. Both of them came down. And Vernon was just, he did not want to. We talked to him about hiring an attorney, and he just didn't want to do it. As it turns out, a brother in my Masonic Lodge is an attorney with the Department of Justice. He is one of the prosecuting attorneys of Max Kane and Vernon. So I've had direct conversations with him. I've called him while he was at work. And the Attorney General of Madison, Wisconsin, J.B. Van Hollen, I've been in J.B.'s office. I've been trying to talk with J.B. personally. I haven't got there yet. J.B. Van Hollen is the guy who led all of Masonry in Wisconsin prior. So generally the principle of Masonry is you just be a good guy. You be an honest, ethical, moral guy. Well, how this jibes with that, I'm not quite sure, and I just want them to answer that for me. I haven't got the answer yet. So anyway, Vernon went unrepresented to his second court date, and there was a very big rally there. There was an internet broadcaster, a lot of people there that came, as you probably know, to support him, Kimberly. And he went, and I wasn't able to go. I'd spent prior days with him trying to find an attorney. We interviewed attorneys together that I thought he would hire. I said, Vernon, don't go unrepresented, man. I don't want to see you in jail. But if you don't do the right things, I can't really spend my time if I know you're just going to go off and do something crazy. He was making, you know, rumblings about, you know, things that... said, we need to keep you out of jail, and I want to keep buying your milk, so I have a selfish interest here. So he went unrepresented to his second, this was about 2 weeks ago. He went unrepresented in the news clip, because I wasn't there. It was awesome. They did a news clip that night on a local news channel. There's the two Department of Justice attorneys with their suits, you know, from the big city, Madison, and there are legions of books and papers and everything. And then you scroll over to Vernon. He's in an open collar shirt, blue shirt. He has a yellow pad and his Holy Bible. So the judge says to him, well, it looks like, sir, you're unrepresented. And Vernon was belligerent already. They thought they were going to cancel it again. He tried to bring a camera in the first time. They wouldn't let him film it. He tried again this time. The judge said, no cameras in here. He said, well, I'm going home then. Either throw me in jail or I'm going home. Because I want this full disclosure. I want everyone to see what's going on. So he happened to have a friend with him that was a member of the media or something, so they finally reached a compromise. Things got started about 45 minutes late, and the judge said, I see you're unrepresented. And this is actually on the news clip. Vernon holds up his Bible, and he goes, no, sir, I'm represented quite well. And Vernon's very humble. He doesn't want to, he's just minding his own business as a small family farmer. Very humble guy, so it's really hard to get, you know, legal and angry at the guy. But Vernon is willing to go to jail for this. So this court date happened, it ended great. The Department of Justice, in my opinion, was quite embarrassed. They tried to file another motion. The judge said, sorry, we don't do it that way here. And they left, and the next date is now in September for Vernon to show up again in court. So yeah, there's no license. I'm not sure exactly what the crazy law is. In Wisconsin, if you own one cow, if you have one cow on your property, you are by law a dairy farmer. And you are subject to all the regulations of big corporate dairies, right? That's what this is all about. It's about the big creameries that want to monopolize price. They drive the price down for all of the farmers. The only way you can survive as a farmer in Wisconsin anyway is by scale. You gotta be huge because there's no margin in it anymore. They squeeze the price down so much that the only way you can survive is by being a big corporate farm. Your cows live in, you know, dookie and the nasty environments that we see. We were talking at dinner about pasture and pasteurization. Of course the stuff has to be pasteurized because that's the environment that the cows live in. But Vernon owns 40 cows. He milks them himself. So Vernon was up against this law about the dairy farmers, and he said, I'm not subject to that because I'm not selling to the creamery. I'm selling direct to members who own the cow. I'm not selling the milk. I bought a piece of a cow. I sat at his kitchen table, signed a contract, and I bought a piece of a cow. So he's maintaining my cow for me and doing the milk, and we pay him for his services for maintaining our cow and doing the milk stuff. So he's able to stay out of it so far. He's still unrepresented. We're not sure how that's going to happen next, if he does choose to work with an attorney or not. But his friend Max Kane, Max is also a dairy farmer in Wisconsin. Max is, his knowledge of the Constitution is unbelievable. Just right off the cuff, he's had to become a constitutional expert. All the amendments, all the articles, he can cite them like this. So Max came down with Vernon. I was telling the story at dinner. The Madison Club is kind of a hoity-toity business club in Madison. And Vernon and Max came in. You know, Max brought 3 raw eggs for dinner because he didn't think anything would be on the menu. For 3 raw eggs, that was his dinner. I said, dude, we're going to buy you dinner. Dude, what do you want? I brought my dinner. Gets out his bag. He's got 3 raw eggs. I'm like, okay. So just look at the menu. Isn't it? Come on, it's something. So he looked at it, and I forget what the cut of beef was. It was Madison Club, a good cut of beef. And he asked me, do you think I could get this raw, the beef? And I said, probably not. This is the Madison Club and, you know, health stuff. But ask the waiter. I don't know. Ask. So he asked, and just like he was ordering a Coke or a Sprite, the waiter said, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. That'd be fine. So when he brought all the meals out Max's slab of beef came out bright red with some seasoning just sprinkled on top of it. And all of us just sat around the table like, you've got to be kidding me. Just watching Max, got out his fork, got out his knife, and he mowed that thing down. And then he had, just as a funny aside, the gentleman drives down from Milwaukee. He's a German speaker, and it's one of the few German-speaking lodges, I guess, still in existence. Joseph drives over from Milwaukee. He's in his young 70s, maybe mid-70s. So I look across the table toward the end of the night, and there's Max Kane. He's got his eggs out. So he's got his egg, and he's talking with Joseph, and I kind of like, hey, what are you guys doing down there? He takes out a knife, hits both sides of his egg. Joseph takes one. These are Max's eggs. He boof, boof, he hits one for Joseph, and they both take them, and Max goes, all right, you ready? And they both go. The 70-something-year-old German guy from Milwaukee, they both drank down their raw eggs right out of. So Max he's a crack up. But doesn't that say something of how legitimate? Joseph used to do that as a kid over in Germany. They used to eat raw eggs. That's just what they did on their farm. So it's obscene. It's like we're in an alternate universe. It is. They're using my taxpayer money, unlimited funds, the Department of Justice, to sue the raw farming family farmer in Wisconsin. I mean, he's not growing marijuana, or it's milk. It is unbelievable that we have to be here, and it's great that we get to meet great people like this. I guess in that way it's great, but it is unbelievable, this issue. It is unthinkable. So finally, in trying to help Vernon, I forget how I heard, Vernon didn't tell us about this. Who told us about Farmageddon? I'm not sure. So I found the Farmageddon site, and then I go, oh boy, we need some resources. This is great. So I watched it and told other people to watch it. Called the phone number on there, was in Massachusetts. No one answered, and I want to talk to someone now. And Kimberly's phone number was on one of the pages as the publicist, I think. So I just called her. It was her mobile phone. She picked right up. This was only about, what, a month and a half ago or so? So here I am tonight with my son having a scrumptious dinner, thank you again, and I'm sleeping in her house tonight downstairs with my son. Great the way that works, but she gave me some resources, and we're still working together to just connect the dots and help each other to just have some common sense for all these legislators and these Department of Agriculture employees. It's crazy. This one in Nevada, I think it was Nevada. Did you hear this one? It's on. I've started a nonprofit. 2 weeks ago, we're doing the legal thing to start a nonprofit for two reasons. One, to create a legal defense fund for people like Vernon. If he needs to go to hire an attorney, we don't want him to have to worry about money. And the other reason is to somehow, some way, hold our elected officials accountable to their sworn oath to the Constitution. What a concept. It's the first thing they do upon taking office. And in the Constitution, there's nothing about food. There's nothing about, food, raw milk, that's for sure. So that website, real quick, it's ap76.org is the name of our site. It's on Facebook, it's AP76. So hop on there, like it. We'll have lots of raw milk stuff and other just individual liberties being trounced on stuff. But I'm sorry, you had...
I was curious, I read the pages that referred to it. It's your state DOJ that's suing because it doesn't have a license. Is there anyone in the legislature trying to any sympathizers who want to change that law?
Yes, there is, but it's largely irrelevant for Vernon now because he's at threat of going to jail. Right, yeah. So this is long-term, you got legislative stuff, and I don't trust any we were down on the Capitol today. After we went to the military academy, I thought we'd go visit all of our senators, our 2 senators and our congresswoman, so that we can get letters of recommendations for, you have to get the commendations, whatever, for the service academies. And just being down there, all I don't know, it's just, whatever, the politicians, it's just a different energy down there, So I have no interest in going in and talking. This AP76 that we've started, AP is Amor Patriae, love of country. Samuel Adams wrote about it. Benjamin Rush was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. They all wrote about it a lot back in the mid-1700s for love of country. I mean, these guys sacrificed everything that they had, their lives, their money, everything to create this beautiful experiment that we're enjoying 200-something years later. These days, you don't hear a lot about love of country, and many people it just worked really well. The experiment worked really well. So we have lots of bounties, lots of gifts. And so the idea of this is to get back to the love of country, AP, the spirit of 1776, preserve individual liberties, Constitution, and it's beyond politics. I have no interest in meeting with any politicians. I don't have the patience for that. They're playing games. They are the problem. There's a great book out now that's called Republic Lost. And in Republic Lost, he's an attorney from Harvard. He defines it, this is so great, he says They're addicted. They are addicted to money. Corruption is the problem. We all know it, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. It is the money that is the problem. And the way gobs of money, you know what our federal government spends per day today? Per day? $9.9 billion per day. And, you know, A, how is it possible to spend $9.9 billion a day? And B, how do you have accountability on that? Where? Why? How? What are we getting back from? That's our money. You know, it's not like, well, it is these days with Bernanke print money and whatever, but that's our money. It's our kids are going to have to pay for it if we don't rein it in, you know. So anyway, the politicians, they're addicted. Even Ron Paul. Ron Paul gave $300,000 to his nephew, his grandmother, there was an article the other day, and an ethics thing done on everyone in Congress. There he was, old Ron Paul. 300 grand given out of our money to whatever, stuff mailers and stuff like that. So they're addicted to money. And the solutions aren't going to come from them. They're going to come from us. This is a we the people thing because they're addicts. And you know how addiction works. Thank God I haven't been addicted to. I have brothers and parents who have been. But addiction, you don't know it, right? When you're addicted, you're addicted. You don't know it. They don't know they're addicted to money. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but they're addicts. And so the politicians, they're going to come from them. And it's so funny, this raw milk issue is one of the lightning rods that's bringing this to the fore. You know, I have my wife's brother is a public defender in Wisconsin, and he saw the news clip of Vernon a couple of weeks ago out of this court case. And all the people that were there, you know, there was a guy yelling through an orange cone, you know, to rally the group, and everyone was doing shots of raw milk, and, you know, but Larry, my wife's brother, said, this is unbelievable. You have the moon bats and the wingnuts. They're all together in this cause. Both sides. We're having our liberties trounced upon, and no thanks. I don't need your help to tell me what's good for my family. I can figure that out. So that's what we have to share from Wisconsin. If you check Facebook AP76, we're going to keep an update there. But we do hope to raise some money for these Vernon and Max specifically to start with. And we'll see. I guess according to Farmageddon, this mandate is coming from the federal government. The federal government has declared, according to Farmageddon, there's a 2020, what was that, 2020 health something, or a white paper that the government put together on what they would like our health to look like by the year like 20 whatever it was. And in that, it is quoted, it's right on the website, it shocked me. In that, it is quoted that, I don't know exactly how it's said, but small farmers, it's on the site, small farmers will be shut down. I mean, it was like the corporate dairies wrote the thing and the government put it out. What is that? This is Vernon. He's a guy with 8 kids on a beautiful little piece of land, minding his own business, working his butt off. You know, he's incredible. So it's coming from the federal government is sending money to my Department of Justice to shut these people down. What is that? I mean, that alternate universe thing just comes in and like, this is America, right? Still, I mean, so it's coming from the federal government. It's not just the states are getting it. They get more money, apparently, if they sue more farmers on criminal charges. So we'd like to bring this back to our beloved legislators and J.B. Van Hollen, for example, and we don't know the legal ramifications yet, but to bring this back to them, and, you know, frivolous lawsuit, this isn't frivolous. You took an oath, and this is what Sheriff Mack is all about. They took an oath. Sheriffs, I didn't know this till Sheriff Mack spoke, sheriffs are our last line defense when it comes to our constitutional rights. The legislators, like with Vernon, he can be brought to court. Even the local police can do what they want to do. But in the end, it's the sheriff each sheriff that you have here in Virginia too, that is ultimately the kind of the arbiter of the Constitution. So Vernon now has his sheriff. He's in a different county. Vernon has his sheriff. He's got huge no trespassing signs on his lawn now. This means government employees specifically, no trespassing. And in our county, in his county, sheriff has said, if they come on your property again, you call me. So it is the sheriff who's ultimately the one that's responsible for taking care of our constitutional rights. It's beyond politics. And ultimately, as the Sheriff Max said, what appeals to a sheriff's heart is, I just wanted to be left alone. I just wanted to live my own life. I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't lying. I wasn't cheating. I just want to be left alone. And sheriffs really, apparently, they respect that and they honor that. That's their job, is to make sure that those who want to be left alone aren't pressed down on and coerced by those more powerful, or with a gun, or whatever. So sheriffs apparently are, Sheriff Mack taught this, they're a very good thing for us now. So however we can connect the dots and share resources and information, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share what's happening in Wisconsin.